Every position hurt differently, but I still asked for it again. A true infidelity story. A Broken Trust Diaries original. This story will be written in the signature faceless narration style. Raw, haunting, and immersive, with deep emotional betrayal, psychological complexity, and a shocking twist. No headings, pure cinematic flow. I used to think pain was something you avoided. You know, red flags meant run. Bruises meant boundaries. Tears meant something had broken. But the truth is, when you love someone deeply, desperately, you start to mistake hurt for intimacy. And every position that hurt, every moment that felt too much, somehow, I still asked for it again. Because pain was better than feeling nothing, and that's exactly what I became to him. Nothing. It didn't start that way. Marcus was electric. The kind of man who lit up rooms and eyes and hearts. Mine especially. He had that laugh that made everyone lean in closer. Like if you stood close enough, maybe you'd feel some of that warmth too. And for a while, I thought I did. The way he touched me in the beginning, it wasn't just physical. It was like he was memorizing me, mapping out my body like a secret he couldn't wait to keep. But slowly, the way he touched me began to change. It was rougher, more mechanical, like he was acting out a scene he had already lived with someone else. Like he knew too much too fast. And the scariest part, I let him. Even when it stung, even when it bent me in ways I didn't understand. I told myself it meant he still wanted me. Because the moments he didn't touch Mech felt worse. Silence was more violent than pressure. Distance more wounding than friction. I used to cry in the shower after, not because he hurt me, but because I knew he wasn't there. Not really. His hands were sure, his body was, but his mind, his heart, gone. And I wanted to scream, "Who are you with when you close your eyes like that?" But I never did. I swallowed my questions like sleeping pills. Quiet, dead on the inside, dreaming of a life I didn't even believe in anymore. Until one night, he called me by another name. Not in bed, not in passing, but right as I lay curled up on his chest. Our breathing cinched, the world finally still. He whispered in God, "Talia, I missed this." My body froze. Every cell in my skin screamed. And I remember thinking, don't flinch. Don't move. Don't let him know you heard it. Because if I didn't react, maybe it didn't happen. But it did. He said her name. And everything after that unraveled like cheap thread in my hands. I didn't ask him about it right away. I told myself it was a slip, a dream name, maybe a memory, maybe nothing. But deep down I knew better. Because once a crack appears in the glass, you start to notice all the places the light shines through wrong. I started to watch him, not like a lover, but like a detective. I noticed the second phone, the extra long showers with the door locked, the changed passwords, the new column I didn't buy. And the way he touched me, it wasn't just different. It was distracted, like he was rehearsing for someone else. One night, he got sloppy. He left the second phone under the passenger seat. I found it the next morning when I dropped my lip balm. And there it was. Black screen, no case, still warm. I didn't open it, not yet. I waited until night, when he was asleep beside me, arms around me like a shield I never asked for. Then I tiptoed outside, sat on the cold porch steps, and opened the phone. No passcode, almost like he wanted to be caught. And there she was, Talia. The name from his mouth, the ghost in our bed, the woman I wasn't. I opened their messages. They didn't just flirt. They relived. Last night in the backseat of your car, I couldn't walk straight today. I still feel your hands around my throat. You always know how to hurt me, right? She doesn't scream like I do. She doesn't beg like I do. Each message hit like a slap. Not just because he cheated, but because he gave her the version of himself I thought was ours. The passion I thought was sacred. It was just a rehearsal. And I was the stand-in, the warm-up act. The last message was from her. Every position hurt differently, but I still asked for it again. You ruined me in the best ways. And I love it. I stared at that sentence for so long, it burned behind my eyes. It was word for word what I had whispered to him weeks ago. He'd repeated it to her, like a script, like I was nothing more than dialogue to be recycled for someone else. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked back into our room, lay beside him, and watched him sleep like a man who still believed he was safe. I watched his chest rise and fall, so peaceful, so predictable, like he hadn't shattered the woman beside him. I wanted to wake him. I wanted to press the phone to his face and scream. Who is she to you? Who am I to you now? But I didn't, because something colder than heartbreak had taken root in me. I didn't want answers. I wanted clarity, and I wanted to win. So I did what he never expected. I kissed his forehead, whispered, "Good night, love." Then slowly, quietly, I started my exit. Not from the house, not yet, but from him. Emotionally, mentally, I stepped back. I let him dig his grave without ever noticing the dirt piling up around him. I backed up his second phone to my laptop. I screen recorded every message, every photo, every voice note, even the video she sent him. The one where she moaned his name like a hymn. I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I watched it like a woman doing research, because that's what I was now. A researcher of my own destruction. Over the next few days, I acted like nothing had changed. I let him touch me, let him climb into our bed, let him pull my body into all those positions that used to feel like love. But now, and they felt like lies wrapped in muscle memory. And even though every position still hurt differently, I kept asking for it. Because I needed the full truth. I needed to see how far he'd go while thinking I knew nothing. Each time he whispered things in the dark, I wondered if he was remembering me. Or remembering her. And that hurt in a way that sex never could. One morning, I watched him leave for work, kissed him on the cheek, then packed a small duffel bag with the files. Not clothes, not makeup, just the proof. I didn't go to my mother's or a friend's. I went to her job. Talia was a dental receptionist. All smiles and fake lashes and that condescending politeness women wear when they know something you don't. But I walked in like a storm dressed in calm. She looked up, didn't recognize me. I smiled and said softly, "Tell Meg, does he call you Talia when he's with me too?" Her face dropped. And in that instant, without a scream, without a slap, she knew. I wasn't the wife she thought was weak. I was the woman who knew everything. Talia stood frozen. Her eyes scanned my face, searching for denial, confusion, anything she could cling to. But I gave her none. Just silence. Because sometimes silence is the loudest way to say, "I already know." I didn't know he was still with you. She stammered, voice cracking. "I thought you guys had separated. That he..." "Stop." One word. That's all I said, and she did. I opened my bag and placed the folder on the counter. Inside, screen prints of texts, timestamps, hotel receipts, the video. Proof. Evidence. Her shame documented. Her hand trembled as she touched it. She didn't open it. She didn't need to. Her face flushed. Her mascara blinked back panic. "I loved him," she whispered. "I know." I replied. "I did too." And I left. No screaming match. No scene. Just a quiet exit that left her shaking in a room that suddenly felt too bright. When I got home, Marcus was there. Shirtless, cocky, sipping protein and watching sports like his double life hadn't just imploded. I stood in the doorway for a moment, watching him. This man I used to believe grow old beside me. He looked up. "Hey, baby." I almost laughed. "Can we talk?" I asked, voice calm, almost soft. He nodded, muted the TV, turned to face me like I was just gonna ask about groceries or rent. "I know about Talia," I said. His smile faded like a cloud blocking the sun. What are you talking about?" "I know everything. The messages, the video, the nickname in bed, the way she moons louder than me." I stepped closer. "I know it all." Silence. You could hear the clock ticking over his heartbeat. And then he tried to lie. Talia was before us. You're twisting this. Don't. His jaw clenched. I watched him reach for a response like a drowning man reaching for air. But there was nothing, because he knew I didn't come to talk. I came to end something. I placed the ring on the table. Flat. Final. You made me feel like pain was proof you loved me, I said. You made me believe that if it hurt, it meant you still cared. But the truth is, you just liked seeing how far you could push me before I broke. His eyes softened. I do love you. I made a mistake. But no. I interrupted. You made a choice. Over and over. And I made a mistake by staying. I walked to the door and he followed. Where are you going? His voice broke like he finally realized what was happening. Home, I said. Then paused. But not with you. I didn't cry that night. Not even when I closed the door behind me and left everything we built behind. The photos, the memories, the sheets that still smelled like him. A pain has a funny way of becoming quiet once you finally choose yourself. For the first time in months, my silence wasn't surrender. It was peace. I checked into a small airbnb near the coast. Nothing fancy, just quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't follow a fight, but comes before something new. And for a few days, I just existed. I took walks barefoot in the sand. I let the waves drown out the echoes of his voice in my head. I ate alone and didn't apologize for the space I took up, and slowly the weight of him started to lift. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Then, on the fourth morning, I got an email from him. Subject, please, just read. I shouldn't have. But I did. Inside was a long message filled with almost apologies, almost explanations, almost accountability. And then this. You said I pushed you until you broke. But I think you were already broken. I just exposed it. I'm sorry for hurting you, but maybe you needed to be hurt to finally leave. I stared at those words like they were knives wrapped in poetry. He didn't regret it. Not really. He just wanted to be the reason for my awakening. And that was the final straw. That night, I burned the folder. Every screenshot. Every receipt. Every trace of her moans and his betrayal. Not out of forgiveness. Not because I wanted to forget. But because I refused to carry it any further. My pain was not a souvenir. It didn't deserve a frame. 2 months passed. Then 3. Then nearly a year. I started therapy. Started journaling again. Stopped flinching when someone touched my back in a grocery line. Stopped checking his social media. I didn't date. Didn't even flirt. But I smiled more. And then he showed up. Not Marcus. Someone else. Kind. Patient. Eyes that didn't just look at me, but saw me. We had coffee once. Then twice. And then I told him everything. Not because I needed his pity, but because I needed to say it out loud. When I finished, I looked away, bracing for the discomfort. But he just said, that wasn't love. That was survival in disguise. And now you get to choose something new. We didn't rush into anything. He wasn't trying to fix me. And I wasn't trying to pretend I wasn't still healing. But something about him felt safe. He never reached for me too fast. Never assumed I was ready. He listened without interrupting. Held my hand without pulling. And one night, as we lay on opposite ends of the couch, he looked at me and said, "You don't have to earn gentleness by surviving cruelty." I didn't cry. I just nodded, because I finally understood something I never had before. A pain isn't proof of love. Silence isn't peace, and being chosen after being shattered doesn't mean you've been healed. Healing is your job. Wholeness is your gift to yourself. Not his, not theirs, yours. It's been a year now. I no longer crave the chaos. No longer miss the push and pull. And I stopped asking for the pain back. Stopped confusing bruises with passion. Stopped shrinking myself to fit into someone else's shadow. The truth is, every position did hurt differently. But the worst one of all was the position of begging to be loved, of staying still when everything inside me screamed run. But now I move, I dance, I walk away. I say no without explaining, because I know what it feels like to break, and I know what it takes to rebuild. Not for him, not to prove anything, but for me, because I finally realized I was never too much. He was just never enough, and I won't ask again.